Hi friends, James Corbett here from CorbettReport.com, back in the gray wintry climes of Western Japan after my sojourn in Acapulco, Mexico for an Acapulco. Thank you for staying tuned over the past week when I've been away, but now that I'm back, I have a ton of videos and information and interviews and roundtable discussions and all sorts for you, so please stay tuned in the coming days as I start to get that done and out onto the website and of course on the YouTube channel as well. It was an excellent experience getting to meet so many different Corbett Report listeners and subscribers, shake them in the hand, look them in the eyes. It is great to have that human interaction for someone who's generally sitting in front of a computer all day. So thank you to all the Corbett Report listeners who made it, including Hector Cubillos of PoliticalScams.me, an excellent independent reporter with an excellent little independent website you should be checking out. He's based in Laredo, Texas, but he was there in Acapulco for the Change Media University workshop with myself, Luke Rogowski, and Dan Dix. And I'm pleased to announce that just the day after that workshop, talking about confronting politicians and getting cameras in people's faces and being an independent journalist, Hector was there wandering around in Acapulco seeing what he could dig up and managed to, well, run into a little bit of trouble with the long arm of the law with some federales there in Acapulco. Very interesting discussion talking about some of the corruption there in Mexico, so I hope you like this. And again, this is just a taste of what's to come. Thank you for staying tuned, and please continue to stay tuned as more and more of From Acapulco comes out on this channel in the coming days. All right, tell us where you were and what started happening.
All right, I was in the main road, the main tourist area, and I was walking to go to a restaurant, and I saw a crash. It was very, very bad, and I just stood there without asking anything or whatever, but I overheard an older gentleman who was about 60 or 70 years old, and he was wearing a breathing apparatus, and he was complaining very loudly, in fact, that he witnessed a cop from the PGR, and the acronym means Policía General Preventiva, I think. And he was commenting on how it was at 2 a.m. the crash occurred, and he was very drunk. He was drunk out of his gourd, and he drove into a Ministerio Público, a public institution owned by the government, and it was nearby a hotel where he just went into the driveway and he crashed and he put several lives at risk. And this older gentleman, I didn't ask his name, he kept complaining. He was saying, well, of course, they do it with impunity. He knows he's going to get away with it. I saw him frequenting this area, and he just looked at it as if nothing was going to happen to him. He just walked away. So I asked more questions, simple to the point. And we both agreed that this was just corruption run amok and nothing was going to happen. But as I was pulling out my backpack, I had my notepad there, and I wrote the license plate. I can recognize, you can look up a lot of information with a license plate. When I was doing that, I saw a man wearing a blue t-shirt. It was a polo t-shirt with identified with a government logo, corporate approved, of course. And he was saying, "Who are you?" But he was being very prodding, very investigative, as he was looking for some type of response which will set him off. And I said, well, I'm just Hector, I'm just here looking at the event as it happened. Why are you doing it? And he kept asking me those questions, and I felt very uncomfortable because he was pressing the point. And I thought he was just a common citizen, but no, he identifies himself as a government agent, and he says, well, te pregunto porque no quiero que manipules la información. In other words, he was saying, I'm telling you so you don't publish anything I don't want you to publish. And it was obvious with my backpack and my setup that I was a journalist, but I know for a fact identifying yourself as a journalist is a very bad idea. Specifically what's going on right now, there's a populist uprising, state socialists, specifically students, just like myself, look the same skin color, wearing backpacks, are rebelling against the government, and they want to remove the state, or whatever ideology they carry. It's a very different thing. And that is the moment where I thought, I need to find a way to get away from this and stop the interrogation. I say something that goes against him, he will detain me and he will put me away. And that really broke an alarm in my head, because if I recall, it was on Monday, first day of arriving here. I was reporting as a journalist, and I saw federal police taking pictures of journalists and identifying them, categorizing them. So if I were to be detained, they would already know that I'm one of them. And look, this is no joke, no lie. Everybody knows it. It goes underneath their tone, and they say, well, government is going to do whatever they like. If they don't want you around, they will eliminate this is not just me talking. I know from direct first-hand experience, specifically in my town of San Luis Potosí. There, the army, if they see you with a camera taking pictures of them, they will beat you up, take your camera, and throw you in the clinker, and that's it. You get out, but you don't get your camera back. This is in the news. You can look it up. So that is when I finalized the conversation. I said, soy Hector Cubillos. I'm a student. I'm just attending the Copacabana. I said those things because it's a chess tournament, so I thought, play it off, you're a student. I finished the conversation, and that's when I felt my life was in danger. So I started running as hard and as fast as I could, and I heard a man in the background, míralo, míralo, está corriendo, agárralo, agárralo, agárralo. I can't vouch definitely if that was a police agent or just some troll trying to make the situation worse. Plausible, two very plausible things. But as soon as I came back here, I was just like, that is enough for one day. If there's a continuous pattern, these people are in the know and they're connected to the crime syndicate. The federal police is one of the tools of the crime syndicate. They're the same thing. So yes, on Acapulco, there's a balance between it. There's a parallel of paramilitary forces patrolling in a de facto martial law that is evident, but there's also this culture of liberty. But it's in tandem. It's a dangerous balance, and the reason it hasn't gone to the power to the state is because they're so inefficient and so corrupt that they can't properly handle their own tax cattle. So they're too busy imposing taxes to competing cartels. That is why there is some seedling of liberty here, but don't push your luck is the ultimate conclusion that I reached to.
So can you speak to the situation of journalists generally in Mexico?
Yes, definitely. I have contacts in Nuevo Laredo. I've been interviewed by El Mañana and some others, and we speak under the away from record. And they tell me, well, Hector, look, I've been an ongoing journalist for 30 years. There's no real money, no real fame in this, but if you want to do it, do it. But I'm going to tell you this very much, especially because you live in Laredo. Please excuse me, but this is very, very, very hard for me to say, so I have to just speed through it. He told me, you live very close to Laredo. You start making a name for yourself, they're connected. Nuevo Laredo and Laredo, they're connected. The whole powerhouse is connected. There's no division. It's just on the news. And he tells me, our news station got bombed. They threw a bomb, a grenade, and one of my partners became disabled because of that. Journalism here is a very dangerous thing because the narrative is controlled by the corporate state. Televisa, one of the main news media organizations here, actively lied. And the problem is that they make the propaganda so far away from the real problem that people get caught up in the minutia of Peña Nieto, he went to visit Spain and all this, but in the background of it, the story is still there. I have talked to a lot of people and I've gotten really in contact with the locals. They don't know Fast and Furious. They don't know the drug money laundering. They don't need, I'm sorry to say this and I'm not being rude, they don't need independent media to tell them that. My people are very, very cunning and very streetwise, but they're accustomed to corruption to a point where it's just like, yeah, didn't you know? Are you an idiot or something? So, and the state of journalism here is a very precarious thing, very fragile, but thanks to social media and anonymity, things do get out and the truth does come out. So, I don't know where it's gonna go from here. I'm just giving you my frank opinion and just be very careful out there.
So you think things are improving?
Very hard to say because, you know, the real reason, and I mean, I'm not a fool, the real reason it's improving or because or La Aduana or Customs and Border Patrol are actually looking out for the importation of drugs and gun is because they want to adhere to the North American Union standards. If you really look at it, like there's a Canadian corporate chief, like I forget if that's the appropriate title, but I can link you up. It's a document, it's a research-wide paper which talks about what are the problems in Mexico to industrialize it and to unify it into North American Union. That's the only reason that the state is trying to revamp the infrastructure and make it better. They don't care about the people. They only want to be part of the big boys and want to sell our private resources to the bankers. And that's it.
All right, Hector Cubillos, thank you very much for your story.
Thank you very much.